This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. Hi everyone, my name is Barbara Vocadas and I am the host of Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. You already know me very well, my wonderful audience. My podcast is on innovation in education. We invite wonderful people to talk about anything related to education and also innovating in this area. And today we have a wonderful guest who is doing something very special because I have not seen, really, I don't know, maybe I just don't see everything. I probably don't. But I have not seen anybody who would give so much attention to how you can help people, and especially children, overcome fear of dogs. And as someone who brings therapy dog to the classroom, I know that this can be a problem sometimes. We cannot assume that every kid in the classroom will be okay with dogs, used to dogs, not fear dogs. So I think this work is very, very important. Welcome, Stefani Cohen, on my show, Get Inspired with Dr. Barb.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Dr. Barb.
You're very welcome, but please just call me Barb.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. And I would like to tell our wonderful audience a little bit about Stefani, because Stefani has authored a book in this area. It's titled Overcoming Overcoming Your Child's Fear of Dogs. And also there is a really cool guide, which is another separate from the book, but can be used with the book, How to Face My Fear of Dogs. And it's activity guide for kids. And it's really very special because I looked into it and I think that it really touches of several important aspects to take into consideration to just kind of find out what's going on and then how to help.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help without really knowing exactly what is going on? Mm-hmm. And that's where Stefani's work and experience comes in. And also Stefani's clinical social worker in private practice, and the main focus is parent coaching and education, specializing in anxiety in children with a subspecialty in helping people of all ages overcome their fear of dogs. So this is even Stefani's specialization, with Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Master of Social Work from New York University. And by the way, we live in the same state. And we just
Yes, we do.
It's like, where exactly do you live, right? So it's not that far from each other. And as a parenting expert, Stefani has over 30 years of experience working with parents to help them develop and implement positive parenting strategies to maximize their children's social and emotional development. Very important. Mm-hmm. She also works individually with children to help them learn to cope more effectively with big feelings such as worry, fear, anger. A lot of it is going on. Many kids with special needs will develop these emotional, let's say, feelings, but not only. Stefani has created and facilitated numerous parenting support groups and workshops, and topics have included anxiety in children, parenting special needs children, positive limit setting, and sibling livery. In addition, Stefani's presented many teacher training sessions on recognizing developmental red flags and behavioral issues in children. Again, very important to recognize these things. And the current focus is helping people who are afraid of dogs face their fear through exposure therapy, and this is accomplished with the help of a therapy dog team. And of course, Stefani's books speak more about that. And I would like to ask you first, where does this focus on helping, especially children, but probably not only, overcome fear of dogs come from? I know, but not everybody knows. I know that there was a personal experience, right?
Yes, very much so. So many years ago, my own daughter, she was 5 years old, and she, out of the blue, announced that she was afraid of dogs. and would no longer go to her friend's house who had a big dog. And she actually didn't want to go to my mother's house either because my mother had a dog. And this shocked me. I had no idea where it came from. I didn't know how to help her. And I was at a loss. And she was stressed. We argued. She didn't want to go somewhere, but we had to go somewhere. And it was stressful for the whole family. And then I had a wonderful dog who was a therapy dog. So actually, I'm going to back up. That's not true. My sister had a wonderful dog, and she lived out in California. And we were visiting her, and Becky was petrified of the dog. And together, my sister and I sort of intuitively helped Becky feel in control. She would ask Casey to sit or lay down. We did not let Casey approach her unless she wanted, and little by little by little, by the end of the 5 days, now this was more than exposure therapy, this would be called immersive therapy because we were living there. So it was sped up a little bit, but by the end they were the best of friends. And then we got our own dog, and I started to see that some people were afraid. I would, again, sort of intuitively, through exposure therapy, educating people about how dogs communicate, what they're showing us, when the dog is safe to approach, when you should stay away. And little by little, I started to get some clients who I was helping. And at some point, I thought, you know what? There was no book to help me when Becky was afraid. I'm going to write the book. And that's what happened.
That's really awesome. I mean, personal stories are just so powerful. I also have a personal story, a big one here too. It's like we're doing those things because we are connected to these personal stories.
Yes,
and they
100%.
allow us to see but they also allow us to see some gaps.
Yes.
With knowledge, with publications, and speaking about these topics. So I just thought that how you speak about that is huge, and it's very important because so many children are actually afraid of dogs, and then this can cause an issue with the therapy dogs coming to the classroom.
Yes.
Because the chance that a teacher knows how to facilitate overcoming this fear is probably very slim, maybe, but it's really hard to tell. And we probably did some kind of informal exposure therapy.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
I would imagine it didn't involve touching the dog, but it's kind of like being in proximity of the dog. But that's kind of all we knew what to kind of try and do.
Right.
But Stephanie, where does this fear come from? It probably comes from all kinds of different things. There's probably not one factor that influences, like just from all your experiences.
Yes. So I've kind of narrowed it down to 4 ways. The first way is what most people think is the only way, which is something negative happens to you with the dog and you become afraid. What's interesting is there are some people, my sister is one of them, who actually got bit by a dog, but she did not become afraid because she had many, many, many positive experiences. So that acted as a protective layer. So the first way is something negative happens to you, or you perceive it as negative. Like you might get jumped on by a very excited puppy. Nothing happens to you and nobody understands why you're now afraid, but you become afraid. Second one is you hear about something negative happening to somebody. The third way is you see something happening to somebody else, not to you. Lots of times parents are nervous around dogs and they give very subtle cues. They may cross the street. If they see a dog coming with their child, they may pick their child up. So I actually get a lot of calls from adults who are afraid and they don't want to make their kids afraid. But the most common way that people become afraid of dogs, and this is in my personal and professional experience, is a certain personality. Tends to be cautious, observant, a little creative. So we're afraid of things we don't understand. So there's a big piece of education in my work want to teach, and you probably do too, teach people about dogs, how dogs communicate. They communicate with their bodies and with their voice. And a lot of times people misinterpret what the dog is saying, and they think the dog is being aggressive or they're going to be attacked, and it could just be they saw a squirrel.
This is very, comprehensive way. Some of the things I kind of thought that I know, but some other aspects are very interesting and I think new to me too. And it makes me think that when the classroom teacher is getting ready to invite a therapy dog, there needs to be some, maybe not investigation, but some kind of work done prior to that, in which you, of course, you get information from the parents. There's a survey like, is your child afraid of dogs or they have allergy? But then it can't just stop right here. You have to then have the more communication with the parents and then with the children to really find out like what exactly is happening. Like you said, some of these things can just be a result of not knowing even about these animals. Like,
That's right.
not every kid has a dog
Right,
in their household, right?
Right.
Many children don't, and they come through. They interact with the dogs through having a therapy dog in the classroom, which is
Right.
really cool. And that's how
Very
they get
cool.
an idea
Yeah.
of getting a dog.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
But they can also lead to a little bit of anxiety and fear. So I think it's not just about talking to parents and children, like what is going on with the fear of dogs exactly, to just kind of like find out what exactly is going on, but also teaching children a little bit about dogs, like prior to welcoming a therapy dog, what dogs do, how you behave around dogs, and that can, I think, solve a lot of problems, like this preparation sort of time.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, no, I think that's very smart. So, one of the things I do is I do humane education programs where we go into schools, mostly 5 and under, the kids, and we talk about safety around dogs, dog bite prevention, how dogs are similar to us. But when we go in, I try to scan the room to see if there is somebody who seems nervous. And I also ask, is anybody feeling worried about Winnie? And a couple of things just to reassure them that the dog will not approach them if they don't want them to. I don't know if the therapy dogs stay on leash or not.
They usually they do. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then you say the dog will be on a leash the whole time. You do not need to interact. You can look with your eyes, all that stuff. And just sort of normalize it, because after a certain age, and especially with adults, there is some shame that goes with being afraid of dogs. They're embarrassed and they're ashamed because a lot of people make them feel that way, unfortunately, and it's a real thing.
I like what you're saying, normalizing. Well, normalizing even in the classroom. Well, okay, some children are not afraid of dogs, some might be. We have to understand everybody's different and everybody has different experiences.
That's right.
So that is very important. I can definitely, I can see how important that is. But also, and as I looked at your guide, as the workbook, you spend a lot of time, focus quite a bit also on encouragement, on teaching children this realization, which is really very important. And by the way, we all learn it. It's not like we know it all. Like how to overcome some of these fears. I mean, there are fears that we just have to. It's natural. We have to have them, right? That's natural. But how do you overcome fears that are maybe not, that are depriving you of opportunity, for instance, to interact, right, with this animal, to be a part of the classroom with the therapy dog? How do you overcome something that is not, that you know that there is no danger because you heard that, let's say there will be a therapy dog and they are very good dogs, they're very gentle, you know how to approach the dog already, and you're still afraid, and trying to teach these kids how to realize that certain fears are a little bit, they are depriving you of good experiences. So they realize that. So they understand that there's different kinds of fears. And some of them, yeah, sure, there are things you should avoid, obviously, but then there are
Yes.
things that you should kind of like, even though you fear a little bit, but slowly get out of your comfort zone and try it, right? Try
Yes.
something.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
not
that
saying full-blown petting of the dog, but
right, right. So it's interesting because, first of all, we all are afraid of things. And there's some things like if you're afraid of spiders or heights, you could pretty much have a regular life. But not today if you're afraid of dogs. And most people and kids already know this, that they are missing out. A lot of people, kids who are afraid of dogs, are also very attracted to them and want to interact, but something is stopping them. So, you're familiar with the fight or flight, panic, adrenaline, all that. And that happens when you have a strong fear of a dog. Even just the thought of a dog can make your body do that. But what I've learned and what I try to help my clients understand is if you can tolerate that feeling for 5 to 10 minutes, and there are lots of strategies to help you do that, your body will relax as you see this is a safe dog. You are safe. And not to push them to interact. You have to go at their pace. And sometimes, and I think you alluded to in your email, just over time, observing, getting a little closer, you might end up interacting. I will say, in terms of the therapy dogs, what is very helpful to explain to somebody who's afraid is that these dogs have been vetted, no pun intended, and they've gone through rigorous assessments, and they are extremely safe to be with.
that's again, it goes down to this educational component even before the therapy dog comes in.
Right.
Kids need to learn about what that means that the therapy
Yes.
dog comes in. It's not just, again, like you said, any dog. If you know that you've covered a lot of strategies and also in your publications, and we certainly want people to get the books, but if you could share a simple strategy for a parent who might be able to safely try if let's say for some reason they discover that the child is afraid of the dogs, like let's say they want to get a dog, right, for the family, but
Well,
the kid is afraid of the dogs.
I've gotten calls like that too, where they've gotten a dog thinking that would help the child.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And what do you do
But
then, right?
exactly. So I think the strategies are to accept that fear is real. Don't try to talk them out of it. Just valid. I understand you're afraid of dogs. We're going to help you. I like to try to have people remember a time when they were afraid of something, not dog, but they did it anyway. Around here, a lot of times it's kids don't want to put their head under the water when they're swimming. And when they do, for the first time, they're proud, they're relieved, they have extra confidence. So I tell them, that's the feeling you're going to have when you feel brave enough to pet Carmel or stand next to her.
Very cool.
I think that was your question.
Yeah, I mean, this is already a simple strategy, but it starts with this. You have to validate that these feelings are real, right? And because as a parent, it's like, well, nobody's here afraid of the dogs, and my kid is saying they're afraid of the dogs. It might be just something made up, and you can just easily sort of like diminish the
Right.
importance of it.
Right.
And that is hurting children's feelings, and it's not really solving any problems. But also the idea of comparing to something that they went through, they were afraid of, maybe it was uncomfortable, but they tried it, and as a result, something cool happened. They learned how to
Yes.
swim or
Yes.
whatever.
They can do hard things.
They can do hard things, yes. And if you would have maybe any special tip for a teacher who is thinking about bringing therapy dog to the classroom, is there anything you would suggest as far as telling the children something that would help with kids just to prepare them for welcoming
Yeah.
the animal. Yeah.
I think I might try to give them as much information as possible ahead of time. Share some pictures, share some videos.
Hmm.
And dogs have feelings too. Talk about what might disappoint Carmel, what
Yeah.
excites her. And then I think the biggest takeaway for me is feeling afraid is feeling out of control. So we have to make sure that the student feels in control, and so needs to be assured that they will not have to do anything they are uncomfortable doing. And you have to stick with that. And also in a classroom, depending on the age, I still remember seventh grade. You don't want to let anybody know that you're afraid. That's the other thing that I just thought of now. So it would be helpful to get that information ahead of time and, be extra protective of somebody who might be self-conscious.
Exactly, exactly. And I like the idea of like showing a video of a dog or something like that, pictures, so they like see exactly, and they have already like an image in their imagination, right? That's already like getting to know the dog that is not here yet, but will be coming. I really like these ideas. Do you think that the fear of dogs, and by the way, when I looked at the guide, I really didn't know that there is a word, there's a term.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably, probably you encounter some people, not only me, who do not have a clue about this. And how do you
Yeah.
pronounce it? Cynophobia?
I think that is the correct
I
pronunciation.
hope so.
Sign is, well, I say cynophobia, but I believe it's cynophobia. Sign, think, is Greek for dog,
Yeah,
and phobia is fear. And
exactly.
and this is an anxiety disorder that is listed in the DSM-5 and is billable to insurance treatment. You
Wow.
should, yes, it's a real thing.
So it's a real thing
It's a
that
real
can
thing.
be, so people can even get reimbursement from insurance for treating this, for treating this.
Yes, yes.
Then how easy it is to find an expert who can actually conduct the treatment, because you are, I don't know anybody else who does something like that. Just
Yeah,
you.
I mean, it is true. I'm the only person I know. However, a lot of people, and that's why if I could, if it wasn't such a big deal, I would change the title of my first book, because it's really a useful book for therapists, for dog trainers,
Right.
anybody who wants to help someone. So even therapy dog teams, I think it's important information. It's life changing help
Yeah.
when you help somebody feel safe with a dog. Now I forgot your question.
Well, I forgot too.
Oh, how do you find somebody? I get inquiries really from all over the world,
I think you do. Yeah.
and I the best way is to try to find a therapy dog team and a supportive adult. Could
Yeah.
be a colleague, a friend, could be a therapist. I do sessions with my own dog, but I will tell you it's harder for me as the clinician when I'm also managing the dog.
Yes.
So I do my best work with a therapy dog team, and then the child and or adult.
Because a regular therapist, psychologist, I don't know if they would know what to do. Not
Well,
necessarily.
they often don't, and the best intentioned ones often give poor advice.
Yeah.
Like, go to a dog park. I find dog parks scary.
They can be scary places.
Yes. So,
Oh gosh.
but I have a colleague, or I found her online together. She's actually a dog trainer and was a teacher. She lives in California. Someone contacted me from San Francisco, and I thought, you know what? Leslie can do this. She has suitable dogs, she knows what she's doing, and I'm learning things from her. So it can be done. You just have to do a little digging. And I also offer Zoom consults. So if you're not local to me, I can also try to help.
Exactly. So I mean, getting your resources, getting your book, also this workbook for a child would be just really fabulous, because the teacher can
Yes.
actually use it, the parent, the teacher. So that's really great. And now we know that you offer consultations too. So if anybody, I mean, the teacher maybe there is a reason the teacher still has not started animal therapy in the classroom because they have kids who are afraid of dogs
Yeah, could
and they
be.
don't really know what to do and they are afraid of the fact that the kids are afraid. So
Yep,
they don't know what
yep.
to do with this. And here, Stephanie is a world really leader in this in this kind of coaching. Really, Stephanie. So we need to
You need to clone
definitely,
me.
yeah, and we need to get your name out there too more too because this can be support for parents, for schools who want to implement animal therapy. But and I also wonder if this kind of fear is something that is like increasing among children or
Yeah.
not, or I don't know.
Well, I think the pandemic made it worse
Yeah.
because kids did not have daily informal exposures to dogs. And also, a lot of people got dogs and didn't really do the necessary training. So these are like sort of jumpy dogs.
Hmm.
And I think also as things sort of opened up and kids were going on play dates and one little girl went to a dance studio and there were two dogs there, parents I think started to say this is a problem. Lots of times parent not that they ignore it, but they don't take it all that seriously until there's some sort of crisis is probably too big a word, but they run from a barbecue, they cross the street, they run into the street to avoid a leash dog.
And so that's a problem. I think if someone is trying to avoid a dog that's leashed, that
Yeah.
doesn't display any kind of problematic behavior, and we are afraid, that's how we know that there is a problem, and it's worth solving it. But again, it's not so easy just to find literature and someone who can help with this, because again, psychologists, therapists, they will not have really any idea unless they have their own dogs and they maybe have some sort of experience and they can try different things. But it's again, it's just kind of like trial and error. What is something that you wish parents paid more attention to, I guess, when their kids are little, so they don't develop this fear of dogs? What would you do as a parent? What would you try to do or pay attention to
Yeah, that's
try
such
to
a good
minimize the
question.
development
Yes,
of this
yes.
condition?
Oh, I think the first thing you need to do is kind of look into your own soul and see how you feel about dogs
Yeah.
and what kind of possible subtle messages are you giving. I think also when you do see a dog and interact with dogs, it's very, very important that all interactions with children under 9 be supervised because even the best dog has its limit. So we teach respect the dog, all of that. Observe dogs, talk about dogs, and I call my stuff dog lessons. They take violin lessons and gymnastics. We're going to do dog lessons. And so that you can learn what a play bow looks like. You can learn, about the different breeds. And by the way, I think we need to be cautious around all dogs until we are sure that this is a safe dog to interact with. I mean, therapy dogs, believe me, I know what they go through. I know you could do anything to them and you will be safe. But not all dogs are like that. So you do have to teach them when a dog growls or puts its haunches up, you back away. You give the dog space.
Exactly. And that kind of makes me think also, in order to give these kind of lessons, we have to know this first ourselves. Like, do we
Yes.
understand these behaviors in dogs, what they mean, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's really important. But Stephanie, I mean, the whole chat, it was just full of different tips, ideas, and also really brings attention to this topic that for some people, it might just mean that, oh, it's just somebody's afraid of dogs. It's just kind of some kind of nonsense or minimizing it. But it's not, because it can really develop in bigger ways. And it, like you said, I mean, dogs are really everywhere. You go out somewhere and you will encounter dogs. You don't even know when
That's
and
right.
where.
That's right.
So potentially this can really cause a lot of anxiety in children. And I wonder, do you also work or did you coach anybody who's an adult and they have this issue to this day and they're trying to get some support?
Yes, yes. So I've worked with a number of adults, and they all say they wish their parents had helped them when they were little. So that is my advice. At the first glimmer, address it. I'm currently working with a 40-year-old man who moved up from Washington, D.C. He moved into an apartment building that is pet friendly. There are there are two big dogs who live on his floor. He will not take the garbage out or use a certain elevator because they might be in there. So it is really, and he's a father, and he said it's impacting my life. I won't go to the park with them. He's making a lot of progress, I have to say. He's very motivated. But, adults get better at sort of masking or faking a fear. They can hide it a little better than kids, but it takes a toll. It really does.
I would imagine, and there's no two little dogs, but big ones.
Yeah.
I know people who are afraid of little dogs
Yes.
because they
Yes.
think that they are more, I don't know, they would be more even prone to biting or something. So
Yeah.
there's all
Yeah.
kinds of,
Yeah, and a lot of times people have certain ideas in their head. One thing I actually have learned that adults have articulated, that when they see a dog, they feel or think that that dog is hyper focused on them. And I try to help them see, unless you have bacon in your pocket, most dogs, and are not running or screaming, most dogs don't care about you at all. But that was actually very enlightening to me and very helpful in being able to help the adult, that was how they felt.
but you're right. If somebody has a fear and they see the dog, they'll think that that dog is going to be
Yes.
after them.
Yes.
That does make sense. And then realization. It was so wonderful. And I've learned a lot too. And I think this information is just so useful, again, for parents, for teachers. A lot of it we can do to prevent these future
Yes,
phobias and
I
their
hope so.
development.
I mean, it's my passion.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thank you for everything you do, and hopefully there will be more specialists like you too, because we need that.
do.
We need some help in this area, and I'm thinking in terms of like therapy animals, so we don't have to worry that there are children in the classroom who are afraid of dogs, and therefore you might not be able to bring a therapy dog, right? It
Right.
would be great to know
But
what
I think
to
they
do.
can help that child. Yes, I think they can, and that child will benefit tremendously once that therapy animal can come in.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for Stephanie. It was such a wonderful chat with you today. If you could tell our audience also where they can follow you, where they can purchase your book and the guide, that would be great.
Sure. So they're readily available online. Amazon has them. And my website is overcomefearofdogs.com. That's what I am on Instagram and Facebook. And I am happy to share my email as well, although you can email me through the website. So that's a companion book called How to Face My Fear of Dogs for Children. And then the first book is a guide for parents, but like I said, therapists, dog parents, aunts, uncles, anybody who wants to help somebody who's afraid of dogs.
Exactly. Anybody is for anybody because as we also hear, there are adults who struggle with that.
Yeah.
So this is real.
It's real. It's definitely
issue.
real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, our wonderful audience, for tuning in. And I'll see you all on social media. In the meantime, make sure to follow Get Inspired with Dr. Barb so you don't miss episode. And also check out Stephanie's resources and her activity on social media. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Bye-bye. This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb.